Hey everyone, and welcome back to Color Me Conway. If you've been following along, you know that today we are going to talk about Severance Season 2, Episode 6. So, let's get into it. There was a lot that happened in this episode, from deepening our exposure to Mark's reintegration. Obviously, Mark and Helly took things to another level. Irving and Bert's Audis got together. I definitely left this episode with a lot of questions and theories. So, first being, let's talk about Mark's reintegration. So, through episode 6, we see significant overlap between his innie and outie experiences. His side effects are becoming more pronounced with his reintegration. And there's even talk of speeding up the process. And Dr. Ragabi is interested in progressing him further along. Obviously, Mark has paused because the risks are super high. But following a very awkward encounter between Mark and Helena at a Chinese restaurant, he decides that he wants to go forward and speed up the process. So it was interesting throughout the episode to see that overlap and to see that progression take place. I'm excited to see that go even further. Obviously, the episode ends and Mark is having a stroke, though I do think between his sister and Dr. Ragabi both being there for him, they'll get him back under control, and we'll continue to see the reintegration progress through episode 7. But that was a really interesting part of episode 6, getting to see that experience progress and seeing that Mark made the choice to speed up his process and allow Dr. Ragabi to flood his severance chip. Would love to know what you all thought about the experience between Mark's innie and outie through reintegration. Let me know what you think is going to happen next in the comments below. I think the second big thing to happen here in episode 6 was the relationship between Mark and Helly. Mark comes clean to Helly, and obviously that's tough for Helly to hear. She already feels violated by Helena, and now Helena has gone and had sex with the guy that she likes in the office, Mark. And so I think it just amplifies her feeling of being taken advantage of. Obviously, that doesn't hold Helly back for long. We've seen that she is, a very strong-willed personality, and so she decides to take back her own power and have an intimate moment with Mark in the office, almost trying to replicate what Helena was able to do. I think for Helly, it was about making her own choices, taking back her power. And so we see their relationship progress and develop even further in lieu of the information that Mark shared. So I was happy to see that storyline take that turn, because you go, Helly, take your power back. But I think the big thing that we are left wondering, and I don't even know if it's as much of a question anymore, curious what you all are thinking, but I think it goes without saying at this point that Mark will have gotten Helly or Helena pregnant. And so it will be really interesting to see if and when that comes up and how they decide to handle that information. But the last notable call out for me in episode 6 was really around the relationship between Irving and Bert. This is the first time that their outies are coming together to actually hang out. And so Irving joins Bert and his husband for dinner at their home. I would say that the energy is, weird at dinner, as to be expected. You are sitting down with a man that your innie was involved with, and you're sitting right next to his husband. So I don't know how that couldn't be awkward, but even despite that, it seemed flirtatious at the table. This definitely isn't going to be the last we see of Bert and Irving, but I am left wondering what Bert's intentions are. And a little bit of his past gets exposed. At one point at dinner, Fields mentions that Bert was severed 20 years ago, which would not align with the timeline of the first Lumen office being 12 years ago. So there's an 8-year gap there. And that Bert at the table insinuates that Fields has had too much to drink and he's mixing up his dates. But I think we are supposed to read into that and believe that Fields was telling the truth, which then leads us to question how and why was Bert severed 8 years prior to the first Lumen office? What might be his connection to the company? And I will say that even when they part ways after dinner, suggesting that they do this again, Bert's facial expression when Irving leaves also makes you feel like there's something you're not understanding yet about Bert's intentions, and that there's more there. So I'm very interested to see how that continues to show up and progress through the rest of the season. Very curious what you all are thinking, so please let me know in the comments below. I've really enjoyed hearing both your thoughts and your points of clarification for me, even calling out, sort of clues from previous episodes or seasons. So please let me know what you all are thinking, leaving episode 6. Obviously, there was so much more to this episode, but if I had to trim it down to 3 things, those were my big 3. Of course, there were the moments with Milchek sort of addressing the feedback that he received from his performance review. There was also that moment in episode 6 where Mr. Drummond broke into Irving's apartment, that being a pretty big moment as well. Curious what you all were thinking on that one. He seemed to know quite a bit about Irving's apartment, where the chest was. He was able to pull out the documentation he was looking for. So it definitely makes you wonder, why did he have a key to Irving's apartment? How does he know where a very specific item was within the apartment? I've seen some people online talking about Lumen sort of surveilling the Innies' homes, and I think that scene definitely lends itself to that theory. But those were some of the things that stood out to me this episode. Okay, I know I mentioned 4 things, but actually I do want to call out one more. You can tell I don't script these videos. Dylan's Innie and his wife kissed. I don't know how I feel about that. Curious what you all think, but I think that relationship is so bizarre to me. I don't know. It just it feels icky, and I don't know why, but I do feel like it's worth calling out because it felt like a pretty big thing that happened in the episode. Also thought it was weird that she lied to his Audi saying that the appointment was canceled. But I don't know what's happening there. To me, it feels weird. Curious what you guys think. But I definitely couldn't do this video without calling that out. So those were my top thoughts and honorable mention thought for episode 6. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. Please smash the like button, comment, let me know your thoughts, consider subscribing, and I will catch you in the next one.